Beautiful. Go ahead, love. Vibrillionaire Soul, greetings and soul blessings. Beautiful Vibrillionaire Soul Family. Love and live in the Vibrillionaire Lifestyle all day, every day, 24/7. And here at Samadhi, we want to invite you and welcome you to Nature's Inner online gathering, Nature's Inner Gathering, part 20, excuse me, I'm shifting. And here at Samadhi, I want to remind you, it's not about positivity, it's not about negativity. It's about authenticity, it's about rawness, it's about realness, it's about genuineness. It's about you watching the video, the genuine you. The you that is underneath all of these masks and illusions and personalities. The real you that's waiting for us to meet us, waiting for us to play with us, waiting for us to live from this genuine place. And I had something written down that I was going to talk about, but we had huge resistance just starting the video. And that's just confirmation how important doing this really is, because when there's resistance, it's just like anything in life. When you're about to hit something, you're going to have resistance. And that resistance is evidence of your growth, evidence of your maturity, evidence of you taking responsibility and doing something you wouldn't do before, or stepping into something that you haven't stepped into before, or sharing something that you haven't shared before. So thank you for joining us. I can't see who's with us. If you're live or if you're watching the replay, please hashtag live, please hashtag replay. And this is our 20th Nature's Inner Gathering, and we are so honored and blessed to be able to host another week of Nature's Inner Gathering. And with so much noise and chaos happening in the world, I want to remind everyone, there's so much greatness happening in the world. There is so much greatness and genuineness unfolding in the world. And let's just take a moment to breathe. Let's just take a moment to breathe and connect with that genuineness in this moment. Just a short moment to breathe. Check in with you. Honor you. Remember you. Just be with you. And just be still. Feel how that feels. Feel the sensation of more relaxation, more peace, more calmness. Because calmness is real strength. It takes courage to be calm amongst the noise. It takes a level of unconditional love to be calm amongst the chaos. That is your soul. We seek strength outside of ourselves. We forget where strength truly comes from. And in this moment, remind yourself, give yourself permission to be calm. And let the calmness take you to something deeper inside of you. And just let go of everything. And just be. Beautiful. Now in this sense of calmness, we come from our hearts. We put the masks aside, the personalities aside, the illusions aside, and we come from a deeper truth. When we take the time to remember who we are. Thank you, everyone. Just take a moment to savor this moment. Just take a look around and appreciate the joy of being alive, not just living in the world, but in this moment, coming from this calm state of being, there's a sense of realness. The noise and the chaos is the illusion that we've allowed ourselves to meditate this world into being. We've allowed ourselves to meditate on the fears, on the worries, on the confusion of the world, believing everybody else's confusion, instead of believing what we feel and know deep inside our hearts. And what is showing up in the world is reminding humanity to be still and remember who you are. It's not through force that we're going to remember who we are. It's not through conflict. It's not through separation. It is through unity. It is through oneness, through love. And I'm not talking about the airy-fairy love. I'm talking about the real love that takes courage, that takes a whole nother level of dedication, that I strive to do my best and I fall short. But to remember unconditional love for yourself. And the more you exercise this unconditional love for yourself, the more your heart will bring you back to yourself. The more your heart will keep you accountable and say, hey, that's not who you are. Come back home. Remember who you are. And every day is a daily reminder, just when I want to believe that I can't change that anger, I can't change that doubt, I can't change that sense of impotence, that heart reminds me where my truth is. And that's why we call it nature's inner gathering. It's not just gathering out in nature, as this is our main host for humanity. But how do we honor nature if we don't even take the time to honor our nature? And when you take the time to honor your nature, you will just, by osmosis, and you will feel your connection with nature to just want to honor nature without feeling forced to honor nature. And the world was meant to have a relationship with us. Nature is our partner. Nature is our teacher, our reminder to be still, to be present, to be grounded, to be balanced. And if you think about it, to be grateful for life, to appreciate life. And just because we don't see the work that's involved with the birds, the rabbits, the desert rats, wherever you are, they work to survive. They don't have the liberty of what we have. We can use our faculties, we can use our gifts, talents, and abilities to bring a heaven on earth. They're waiting for us. They're holding the space for us because they don't complain. One great lesson that I had a while ago is I seen this spider in the storm and his web kept getting destroyed. Not once did I see that spider stop and complain. Every single time the spider web fell apart, there it went again. And I was working security. I remember I was just paid to watch. And I was looking at this spider just getting his cobweb destroyed. And right again, even during the storm, he was creating his web. And I was just in awe of this spider as my teacher. Because this spider was telling me, we can whine and complain and do nothing. As that's what we're doing in the world. We're whining and complaining about what's going on wrong. And we're not taking the time to do something within us. And I'm not saying that, that it's not making a difference to protest. Because there's things that do change. But then we go back to the cycle of thinking that by doing on the external, it's going to change. And that's where we get confused. Because no matter how loud we scream, no matter how much we fight, no matter how much we force our hand, we're still back in the same, and we're still back in the same limiting beliefs. That even though we make a difference in small ways, we're waiting for the next president. We're waiting for the next whatever that is. Even in our relationships, we're waiting for the next, girlfriend, boyfriend. We're waiting for the next, boss. We're waiting for the next job. This job didn't really do it for me. I'm going to go get something else. Or even in your job, there's an escape. Well, I'm not happy at my job, so let me go get drunk after work. I'm not happy at my job, let me just binge watch. I'm not happy at my job, let me just go do this. So we constantly look for something external, instead of realizing it's everything that we seek is within us. And the resistance is the blessing and the teacher that reminds us that our happiness is not out there. Our joy is inside. And when we take the time to remember that, the resistance will not get less, we'll get stronger, and what was harder will get easier. And when there's more resistance, it will appear like there's not more resistance, because you'll be skilled and graceful in your art of your practice. Thank you everyone for joining us. So, like Ali and I like to say that remember who you are, because that's why Ali and I do what we do. Be genuine with yourself. The world is waiting for you. Your genuine you to come out. The world needs you. You need you. The people around you need you. Not the idea of what they think you are. Not people's boxed ideas of who you are. But you're the infinite, free, graceful but powerful being to come out and play. Like Ali has taught me so well. You've been my mirror. So when you see me, you're seeing Ali's courage, calling me out on my stuff. It hasn't been easy, and it's not easy, everyone. But if you don't step into it, you're gonna find yourself back in the same cycle, back in the same patterns and programs and limiting beliefs, trying to change outside what you refuse to transform and face inside.
A whole bunch of people. I've already messaged a whole bunch of people. We have Maxwell, and I can't pronounce his last names. I apologize.
Maxwell Aching Alus.
And we have
blessings, brother.
Martin Lopez.
Blessings, Martin.
Vicky Luz Campos.
Blessings.
Jessica Marquez. Rebecca Grace Arce. And that's all I can see on my end because I can't see all you see over there.
Callie Garcia. Alice Inui, my beautiful, amazing wife. Paul Wilson.
I'm always here.
Martin Lopez says, great message. Thank you, brother. We're just mirrors, brother. Jessica Marquez says, your words are beautiful. It's a reflection of your beauty, Jessica. Vicky Luz, thank you. And one thing I desire to say to Martin and Jessica, as I know they know this, but for people that are watching, is that if you see beauty, it is because it is inside of you. But in order to see beauty, you got to be willing and courageous to see, I don't want to say ugliness, but what's the opposite of beauty?
Fear.
No.
Confusion.
Beauty?
Yeah, because when you're not, when you remember when you say when someone's really sad.
Anyways, the opposite of beautiful. I'm not able to think right now. I don't want to say ugly because it's not ugly.
No, it's when you're stuck in a pattern of self-loathing, self-doubt. When there's self-doubt, the beauty doesn't come out because you're so confused. I don't know if you've seen someone who's confused. their brow wrinkles, their face looks a little droopy, like, oh my gosh, because they're so confused, so that beauty can't come out. But when they're in their essence, when they're just flowing, like when you're flowing like that and your words are so beautiful, that's when you look more gorgeous to me. So
when I'm in a blueprint, I'm not gorgeous.
No, when you're in a blueprint, you don't look gorgeous at all. You look all distorted. Your face gets all...
We all do.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's a good point.
That's what I'm saying. So when people say, no one's ugly. There's not an ugly person on this planet.
We're all beautiful.
It's all beauty, however, when you're stuck in a blueprint or in a pattern, that face shows it. Like when you notice if I'm sad or something, go, what's going on? Are you okay? Because I'm in my thoughts or I'm in something that shows on my face. You can tell when I'm not happy. You can tell
when I'm not.
Yeah,
present.
see? So
it's not even about being happy.
Yeah, or present. Beautiful.
It's about being present. That's
Yes.
beauty. That right there hit me.
Oh, Jessica says...
Beauty is being present.
Yeah, yes.
Because when you're present,
Yes.
you are glowing.
And Jessica,
you are
let me read
radiating.
what Jessica says. Jessica says, I love you guys. I'm at work watching.
Oh, thank you for taking the time to join us, Jessica.
Precious.
We miss you. We love you. And one thing I wanted to say in the beginning, I wasn't able to tag anybody. I wasn't able to even write anything because how much resistance did we have? That's why we were late. We were here, before we had to start. And just the resistance kept happening and happening. And I was actually so close to just recording pre-recorded video and just posting it later because I didn't want to not, do Nature's Gathering. But that determination, and I even restarted the whole thing. I deleted everything. Yeah. Actually, I'm gonna post what I wrote because I could just copy paste it.
And that's a big one for Michael to erase all that stuff.
It's the ego.
And still be,
The ego doesn't want to. Ooh, that's a good one. The ego doesn't want to restart. It protects those patterns that it thinks is familiar, because when you're in ego, you're only living from the familiar, and that's why. Oh, look at that beautiful bunny. When we're in the familiar, what's up, guys? When you're in the familiar, you're basically, you're becoming crystallized. It's like becoming a zombie. Because when all you think you know is what you think you know, you're not going to step to that level that you're going to be like, wow. You're not going to see things that are right in front of you. Blessings, brothers. Thank you for joining us. So, if you're in the familiar, I'm going to invite you to step into the unknown. Because with so much familiarity in life, that's why we keep repeating the same patterns. Even though it's something that we don't want, because it's familiar, we get comfortable. But when we step into the unfamiliar, it's scary. It's a sense of survival. I was on a call last night, and I shared about how resistance comes from the fear of death. And even in my life that I said I wasn't afraid to die, I was fooling myself because I wasn't afraid to die to who I thought I was. I was afraid to let go of this mortal body, but I wasn't courageous enough to transform my thoughts because I thought that's who I was. So our sense of survival keeps us continuing to be stuck in our same patterns, our familiar patterns. And in honoring nature, we need to talk about how we can honor nature, not just talk about the beauty of nature, because we could talk about the beauty of nature all day, but what are we doing about it is the question. So, if you're facing the unknown within you, I honor you. If you're having the courage to step into unknown territory, places that you would say now, oh my gosh, I never thought I can get to this point. It's because you've stepped into the unknown. Transformation doesn't come from the known. I'm going to repeat that again. Transformation does not come from the known. And the reason why I can tell you this is because I studied for many years the spiritual path. And boy, did I think I was enlightened. Oh man, everybody tell me, wow, Michael, you really are, pretty enlightened, because I could talk the talk. But until I walked the walk, I didn't know what enlightenment is. And I still am discovering deeper facets of enlightenment. More clear, let me just say that, more clear facets of enlightenment. Because I still am pending to do a video on enlightenment. Because a lot of people think that what enlightenment is, they have no idea. Because you can have a logical idea of enlightenment, but if you're not living it, if you're not taking the time to be courageously genuine and authentic with yourself, you have no idea what enlightenment is. You have an aspect of logic of what enlightenment is. But that is why the greatest master mirrors have said, even though I know what I know nothing. Because enlightenment is a way of being, not a way of thinking. I'm going to repeat that again. Enlightenment is a way of being, not a way of thinking. Thought doesn't create your reality. This is a wake-up call. It is the thought that you access from the reality that you're accessing is creating your reality. So if you're not taking the time to be silent, we think thoughts are our gods, because in a way, thought is an aspect of God because it creates our world. But if you're just in thought and you're not willing to be courageously enough to go beyond thought in the silence of your being, then you're just going to create from a familiar place, which is the thought realm. But when you go into the silence, you access greater consciousness that really is in the center of your being and is waiting and just loving you, willing to transform you. So the more you step into silence, the more your thoughts will transform. I'm living proof. I didn't have to go and say, I want to change my thoughts. I want to change my thoughts. I don't even know how I got to where I am. It's really magical. It's amazing when you just sit with yourself.
And you follow your intuition.
Yes. Thank you for bringing me back to the message.
I'm doing my best.
Thank you for bringing me back to the message,
sure
because
where we are,
this is why we continue to do these repetitive patterns, because, and like I said, I don't want to take away from what people have done, because I honor your work, doing the best that you can. But fighting, the riots, the protests, it's teaching our children that that's how we get things done. It's like seeing a mom and dad argue and fight and justify who's right or who's wrong. The child is going to think one side is this, one side is that. Meaning the mother, the father, the masculine and the feminine, right? I did it backwards. But here's my point. What patterns are we programming ourselves to believe is transformation? We're believing that the more we protest, we're believing the more we riot, we're believing the more we stand up for our personal self, instead of standing up for our divine self. What are you standing up for? What are you speaking up for? What are you dying to? I felt you. Go ahead. I felt you. I felt you. Go ahead.
Well, I love when you say, or when we remind even just our present students or people who follow us on the videos, that it's not about what can we go out there and attain, what can we go out there and get. It's basically what can you let go of within yourself. That to me is more important, because if you're angry or frustrated and you go out there with anger, frustration, judgment to protest, or anything you do, if you even go to the supermarket and you bump into someone, if as you're driving and there's road rage, whatever it is, what do you let go of first, so that when you're out there, you're not filled with the anger, frustration, judgment, resentment, something that maybe someone did to you years ago, and you use this to justify your anger or that reaction to anger. So basically what I love is when Michael has said, and because I kind of cheated a little bit because I read your note, when it says nature's gathering is about our sacred relationship with nature. And I've said this maybe like a broken record. So for those of you that haven't watched this before, I'm Alice, this is Michael, and we're with Samadhi Sea of Wisdom Meditation School in Yuma. And basically my favorite message about nature is, what is your nature?
And we're at the Yuma West Wetlands, because people don't even know where we are sometimes.
Yes. We are in Yuma today.
Yes.
And what
Beautiful
is your nature? All of this that we see out here, all this beauty really is inside of us. It is part of us. It is where we feel more at peace when we go into nature. And so for me, when I see Michael's notes and it says the sacred relationship with nature, it starts with your relationship with yourself. How do you let go? It's not easy, especially when you're in the middle of the storm. Someone did something, said something, and you want to react instead of responding with responsibility. You react because you pull up things from your past that hurt you and you attach it to that moment.
Living in the past.
So then you have that justification. I have the justification to be angry because this person did this to me, just like all these other 10 people did this to me, or 20 people. That doesn't justify it, because those other people aren't even here anymore. You're in a different situation, and when someone does something, and I'm not going to go on a tangent, but there's something I just thought about. We were pumping gas, and this elderly man came in the opposite direction and just semi kind of parks, doesn't even do it like the right way, supposedly, right? How you pump gas. And he gets out of the car, and I see the cash in his hands, and he starts walking in the opposite direction towards a Carl's Jr. instead of towards the actual place where you go pay for the gas. And halfway through, he realizes it. And then he does a U-turn, goes, pays for his gas. He did a lot of really off-the-wall things. He wasn't close enough to the pump. He gives the actual hose to a guy who was in the passenger seat. While he moves the car, they're holding the hose. Michael and I are just observing. Michael's like, I should take a picture of this because it's really odd. But this man and his inability, maybe he didn't know. He was an elderly man. Maybe he wasn't even aware. Had a line of people. Like, it was really discombobulated. I couldn't get out anymore. People had to back up to give me a chance to get out. What is my point on this? That we could sit there and be frustrated or angry, or people can be honking at the man, but do we know what his confusion could be? I don't want to judge a book by its cover, but first, he's elderly. He seemed confused to me because he started walking the opposite way just to go pay. That was my first key. So why do we hold judgment against other people because of what they're doing? They're not doing it to you. They're just doing. It's up to you how you react.
Say that again.
When people are doing things, they're just doing. They're not really doing it to you. So it's up to you how you react to the situation. If you're going to be calm, if you're going to react with anger, frustration, or sadness, that's my cue. It's something I don't like.
Oh man, you just awoken something right now.
I react with. So what is your nature? Why do we come out here to nature and honor nature, and we breathe and we relax, and oh, it's so beautiful, and the birds, and as soon as we go home, we go back to what nature? The nature of anger, the nature of frustration, the nature of sadness.
The familiar.
Yeah, just go back to that. So now I'm on a tangent. Now I have a little.
One thing I do want to say that you just woke up right now is that this is going to be a little controversial, but
ouch.
This is being genuine. When I feel something, I say it. And it's not directed towards someone. It is directed towards a pattern. It is directed towards a program. So I'm directing it towards the program of separation. And two things hit me right now as Ali was speaking. And it reminds me of a session that I had with one of our students. And one is, when we go into a reactive mode, we are in the past. And when we're in the past, we're reminding our brain where we are comfortable being stuck in. The brain doesn't see like what is good for you, what isn't. It's a computer. It's a super sophisticated, ultra high-tech computer. No computer in the world can compare to not even Google can compare to the computer in our brain. Not even close. We are using a technology that just serves us at the highest level. But when we use our power irresponsibly, we see what's going on in the world. So this is the message that came through. when what happened to start the riots, what is the justification to start the riots? The way the black people have been treated, the way the minorities have been treated. And I come from that background. And we justify to bring the past, and it's destroying our world. Because I guarantee you, at the end of the day, when the riots are over, the people are going to pay more than the justice system. The justice system is covered. They got high quality insurance. People don't have insurance. The majority of people do not have home insurance, do not have business insurance, do not have life insurance. And the cost of living is going to go up. So who's going to pay in the end? It's just like if I justify my reactions with my wife. Who's going to pay in the end? I am. Because my taxes within myself is I'm going to tax myself. I'm going to justify why to stay stuck. The next point I was going to say is this. So I can go deeper on that, but if you guys want to know more, we can talk about it on another conversation. We could do another live, because I can go deep with that. Just marinate on that. How what we're seeing in the world is a direct reflection of our irresponsibility within ourselves. Because I guarantee you, if the police officer had self-love, if the person that got strangled had self-love, they wouldn't have been a vibrational match to that experience. The second point is, I come from a world where I used to fight a lot. I wasn't an arguer. I didn't know how to talk smack. I didn't know how to defend myself mentally. So I was a coward that I used my fists. That was my world. It was so easy to pull the trigger with my hands. And this is what I want to micro too. I remember the first time I held a gun, they told me it doesn't take courage to shoot a gun. And I thought it did. I was so confused about the process. And one of my friends at the time, rest wherever you are, blessings to you, he told me it only takes 2 pounds of pressure to pull the trigger. It doesn't take courage to pull a trigger. Actually, it takes more courage to put the gun down and say, let's talk about it. Before I thought it took more courage to put the gun down and say, let's fight. Come on, I'm going to back myself up. But that's still a poor excuse to take responsibility. So my point is this. We have become trigger-happy society. We have become a trigger-happy society. We pull the trigger on our reactions. We pull the trigger on our justifications. We pull the trigger on our judgments, and we separate our own self by separating our world. When you step into the unity consciousness that you are, you won't want to hurt another person. And you won't be a vibrational match for that. I've said this before and I say this again. I have no fear for my life. I have no fear for the elites or the power of the be or the cabal or whatever you want to call them to my life. Because when I go, I'll come back even stronger. I've tasted that. I've tasted death. It doesn't scare me. But here's what I'm going to tell you that I want you to hear me loud and clear. With that courage that I say so effortlessly, because I mean it. I'm so afraid to die sometimes to my fears. I'm so afraid to die because I feel like I'm less than when I get angry. I'm so afraid to die because I feel like pathetic when I react over something so small. So you ask yourself, why can I say I'm not afraid to physically die, but I can say I'm afraid when I'm so in reaction mode? Because I believe the personality. But when you let go of the personality, nothing can stop you. And that's why we teach meditation. Because people, including myself, I use meditation as an escape. So I came out angrier. And people would look at me and say, man, if that's what meditation is, I don't want anything to do with it. How many of you are using your spiritual practice or your religious practices to escape? And you take it out on your families. You take it out on your friends. Or, even further, you help everyone else because you want to earn your way into heaven. You want to earn your way into worthiness. But those close around you, you treat the worst. And I'm speaking from personal experience. And sometimes I still fall for it. We had a meeting the other day, about a week ago. And I had to be very honest with my family. And I said, you know what? I got to be honest with you guys. you know, I've been irresponsible, that I've been taking my personality on you. It takes courage to be vulnerable, to be honest. That's putting the gun to the side and saying, let's talk. Communication builds relationships. Communication within will build communication without. If you can't communicate to yourself, if you can't unify with yourself, if you can't sit with yourself, trust yourself, love yourself, honor yourself, live with yourself, how do you expect to be a part of the solution to create another world? Everybody wants to experience a heaven on earth. But I'm gonna explain something that is not gonna be easy to ingest. A heaven on earth is not a beautiful earth. A heaven on earth is an unknown earth. But in order for an unknown earth to come, to be, that is now, we must destroy and annihilate all the programs by transformation. Not destroy by destroying and going and burning homes, burning businesses and doing all this stuff. Trust me, they'll build another business. They'll start. It's just like I remember, well, I'm going on a tangent, but getting rid of someone, they'll just be replaceable. It's getting rid of yourself, the egoic, illusory self that you have pretended and protected all your life. Be vulnerable with yourself. Have the courage within yourself. And face yourself. That's how you honor you. That's how you honor nature. Because when you destroy the limitation that you think you are, you awaken the infinite being that you were meant to be and you always have been. And when you do that, you honor nature. So honoring nature is not just grounding. It's not just hugging trees. I can hug trees, but I could be an angry SOB. So what are you doing in your world? How are you showing up in your world? Because it's not just about becoming enlightened. It's about being.
I can't see everybody on your screen, but I know there's more people joining us. Daniel Bolin, I know you're one of them.
Robert Herrera and Michelle Mott, blessings. Robert Herrera says, love you all, love you too, brother. Mustafa Al-Muradi, Daniel Bolin, what's up, brother? Deborah Hansen.
And Maxwell says wisdom. I'm not sure at one point, but
and
thank you.
I desire to share something that I want to honor all the shadow workers, the ones who are like Mark Francis says, those that are doing the subconscious reprogramming. I want to honor you. I want to thank you, because the few of us that are doing it, that's why we're seeing this. Things are falling apart. Corporations are falling apart. People in power are being awoken to what true power is. They thought they were powerful. They had no idea what power was. Just like when I met my wife. I thought I was powerful. I thought I was unstoppable. But boy, was I in for a huge awakening. And really, she was my blessing, because I learned to die. I learned to die a death before death. And if you're not taking the time to die, then you don't know who you are. I'm going to repeat that again. If you're not taking the time to die to who you think you are, you don't know who you are. Because even to this day, even when I think I know who I am, every day it's a new Michael. And she knows. Every day I get to know a new Ali. And I'm going to say something very, very, I guess you could say vulnerable or whatever. But before I met Ali, I was a player, but I never played women. I was honest with women. I said, you know what? I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not in for it for love or attachment or relationship, because people were after me. And I told the women that were after me, your life is not going to be very good with me. And I would be honest with them, but I was a player. I played around a lot. And the one thing that I said, I will never get married. I can't be with one woman. Even, I mean, 3 months seemed like a long time. So this is what I wanted to get to. When you die to who you think you are, the people around you become a whole other person the more you die. Because with Allie, I mean, I've literally been with 1,000 women. Because every day she's somebody else. Because every day I'm somebody else.
Because we keep dying every day. It says, for those of you that follow the Bible, renew your mind daily.
Yes.
So when renewing those thoughts and transforming,
okay, go ahead.
In transforming those thoughts, we obviously become a new person. And it doesn't happen overnight. So for those of you that are in a relationship or marriage and think it's easy and it'll just be all love and happily ever after, it really is happily ever after now. It's like now. Take every day, every moment, and just remember to love yourself. So when we say about, so when we say let go, like I was saying earlier, it's just really about letting go. It's not about attaining anymore. You already have everything that you need to be great and successful and happy or joyful or all those things that we seek, because every human being is seeking peace. Even if they're fighting and rioting and doing this because they want peace. But fighting doesn't beget peace. Peace begets peace. Yes. If you're peaceful within yourself. So when Michael says that I'm like 1,000 women, sometimes he gets the emotional Allie, sometimes he gets the silly Allie, other times he gets the one that sometimes he gets the
one that causes me to grow.
Sometimes
it calls me on my BS.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just
what
put it like it is.
We're gonna call that one the witchy
calls
Allie.
Me on my illusions.
No, the brave Allie. I don't know. He just and vice versa, because Michael also dies to that illusion of, I'm Mr. Macho, and then all of a sudden he's just like a little kitty cat. So it happens, but it's fun in the process.
I'm going to tell you, the more I become like that little vulnerable person, the more I grow, the more I enjoy, the more I benefit, the more I open up the gift of me. Because when you're vulnerable, you open you up. You don't. Anyways, it's a whole nother class.
Yeah.
But I wanted to touch on
nature?
I wanted to touch on what Ali was saying, and this is the last point that I'll say, is the reason why there's so much deception in the world is because we've allowed our intuition to be confused. What intuition do we access? We access fear, confusion, doubt, manipulation, deception within ourselves. Every day we get better at deceiving ourselves and manipulating ourselves, because we fall for something that sounds good and we believe when somebody says they're going to do better. How many presidents have said, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then when they come into power, they don't do what they said. And then we allow them to stay there. I mean, come on. This is what we do to ourselves. We deceive ourselves, we manipulate ourselves. And then when we catch ourselves in the act, we're like, oh shoot, this is too hard. And we allow that deception to continue. So this is what I'm getting at. The intuition that we're accessing is egoic. We're accessing the intuition that we can't do what we were born and called to do. How does that make sense? How does that make sense that we believe that we are powerless? How does that make sense that we believe in that we're worthless? That we're powerless? That we're useless? And that's why we wait for someone else to come and save the world. We wait for someone else to do something that we were called to do. But it takes courage. It takes responsibility. The ability to respond. Remember the quote that I shared with you guys? Comes from the inspiration of the Spider-Man. With great power comes greater responsibility. But I'm going to say with greater awareness comes even greater ability to respond. How are you responding, or are you reacting in life? Because if you're reacting, you're not awakening your intuition. You're giving into the intuition of the world, of your external, and that's not faith. Well, it is. That's faith that your world outside is more real than the world inside. So let's talk about that on another video. Are you believing in your faith, whether you're in religion, whether you're spiritual, whatever you think you are? Actions speak louder than words. The proof is in the pudding. Are you believing that your external world is realer than your internal world? Are you believing everything that you see? Because your intuition will affirm that. Everything that you see is going to be real. That's what the brain was programmed to do. But when you take responsibility and accountability and authority over the brain, you teach it who you are. You remind it who you are. So easy to fall into the program. But it's your responsibility, no one else's. And when you take that authority back, not take it back, excuse me, that's off. When you remember the authority that you've always been given, you will be more responsible, you will be more accountable, you will be more of a powerful presence in your life. And people will wonder, where'd you go? Who is this person? I don't know who this is. But stay vigilant, stay true. And you will have people around you that love you for you. Not for who they think you are. Because I lost a lot of friends. And I still love them. I still love everyone that did everything to me. That stabbed me over 20 times all over my body. That set me up to get killed again and again and again and again. I love you. I love you. Because I am where I am because of you. And I'm here to serve that back to you. I love each and every single one of you. I am more blessed than I can ever even imagine. And the question is this. If you're living in the past, and you're awakening your intuition of the past, it's going to reaffirm how much you can't grow. But if you're courageously stepping into the unknown, then you'll be known unto yourself. Not what anybody else thinks about you. Nobody else has your truth. Ali doesn't have your truth. I don't have your truth. No one in this physical external world has your truth. Only you can be known unto yourself. Know thyself. Teachers, mentors, and spiritual coaches, whatever you want to call this, we're doing our best. But at the end of the day, it's how courageous are you willing to be? How authentic are you willing to be? How genuine are you willing to be with yourself? Because you'll find yourself on the other side, the real you. And that's what meditation really serves. And that's why we teach meditation. To not meditate as an escape. Meditate to build and awaken the unconditional love that has always been you. You love you no matter what. If you believe this, you'll never know it. If you believe the brain, you'll never know it. No matter how much you study. No matter how much you think you know. But when you die and you step into the heart, because the heart knows who you are, and you meditate on that, and you come out into this world willing to meditate in life, willing to do the practice within and the practice and build the skill and the art without, you'll know what enlightenment is. And even then, you'll just get a whisper of it.
And I think that's a beautiful way to say see you later. And just remember, sometimes I don't want to say anything because then I spark something else. So I'm just going to let everybody know that we are thankful for everyone here with us. Here present, we have amazing souls.
I don't know if you guys want to come on camera.
One of our beautiful, no.
Okay.
We respect that, but hey,
those of you mother over here,
those that are with us through the screen, either on live or on replay, if you're watching this weeks from now, just remember that the nature that you have within, if you tend to it, tend to that beautiful self that you are, everything outside of you will reflect that beauty. So thank you everyone for joining, and we will see you next time. Take care.
Be the transformation you wish to see. Don't hope for transformation. Don't hope for transformation. Be the transformation. You are the transformation. Oh, blessings, Jesus Núñez. Bendiciones, primo. Shout outs to all the family.
Ya le dije saludos a todos.